With your host, Matia Oliver. It's the Matia Show. Bringing you the best. And I'm back. I don't know what's going on, but I always get the victory. I got my prom date with me, Jay Harris. Jesus is Lord, and I'm not going to be attacked today. I don't know what's going on. You are tuning in to the Matia Show. High School Sessions Part 2 with my prom date, Mr. Jay Harris. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you're tuning in on Facebook Live, if you're tuning in on YouTube, I thank you. I see y'all coming in. Thank you so much for your loyalty in doing that. We had to set up a whole new thing. But Jay Harris, welcome to the show, sir. Thank you so much for your patience. Look, I had to send him a whole link and everything, and he has been so kind and patient with me. So I thank you for that. We were supposed to start at 3. We real late. He's on a whole nother time zone. So I thank you for this. Let's jump into the interview. How are you doing in this pandemic?
Not bad, surviving. With my former industry, being the food industry, wow. It shut down very early. So luckily, my former employer kind of, got us, ahead of the curve. So we were the first wave of furlough or unemployment or whatever category you want to put it in. So we didn't have to put anything, like we got our checks before everybody else. So that's going how it's going. And then I just been doing, side hustles on the side, kind of waiting for everything to kind of get back to itself. But Amazon here and there. I was doing Lyft every now and again before this, but I'm not having nobody in my car now. So, but
I understand.
The biggest thing about the pandemic for me is the pause in life, so I can kind of figure out what I really want to do, and that's not kind of what I'm doing. That's what I'm leaning into right now. And so this pause has given me the freedom to kind of lean into that rather than kind of putting it off, and So
yes, that does sound good. Thank you, T, for joining in. That's my sister Teresa. Sounds great. This has been a moment to just reflect on who you are, what you want to do, and who you want to be. I can't wait for you to share that with us later. I don't want to jump, but that's awesome. I'm glad you're doing well. I'm glad that you haven't lacked anything, because so many people are going through a lot. And you said you've been out here hustling. I understand Amazon Flex and all them. So and good. I'm so glad to hear that. I'm nervous. Why am I still nervous? Jay, I gotta call in.
Before we jump too far, I don't want to paint the picture that everything is hunky-dory. Like with the pandemic, I have lost family members inside the pandemic.
No, really?
From COVID.
Oh no.
Actually, a first cousin of mine outside of Seattle passed a couple weeks ago, and so we're dealing with that, figuring out everything as far as funeral and everything. But now I'm hearing from some of my family in the South that some of our elders have also been affected. We don't know how many, and we don't know exactly who just yet. But I'm trying to stay focused and just keep my ear to my mom and my aunts to figure out what's going on. So everything isn't the greatest, but at the same time, this is a really good time to refocus. So
absolutely,
everybody's dealing with a little bit of, I don't even know what to call it. Like, I wouldn't call it PTSD or something, but everybody's dealing with something mentally right now because none of this is normal. So yeah.
I couldn't say it any better. None of this is normal, but my condolences to you and your family. Condolences, love, and prayer, because, man, that's a lot. So I'll continue to be praying for you and your family. And anybody else that is experiencing that, I'm so glad that you were transparent in that moment. Everybody wants to smile through things, but this is not normal. We can't just keep smiling and acting like everything is okay. So if that's you today, my condolences to you as well. There's a lot going on, but you stay encouraged. You stay focused. And you
are. One thing for the men, especially because I know how I was raised, being stereotypically masculine or whatever. We are taught to hold a lot of things in or wait to the right time. And nowadays there is no right time. Like we're experiencing so much, we're seeing so much trauma, and I'm sure that I'm not the only one that during this pandemic, you just found yourself crying out of nowhere, like, yo, what is wrong with me? Like something.
Yeah, my brother said that. Yeah.
Yeah. Like we go through it, especially being men. Like I can't speak for women and what you have to think about before you leave the house, but I have to think about a lot of stuff before I leave
Yeah.
the house. And I got to know what I'm going to do in certain situations before they happen. You know,
Right.
we don't get second chances like that. So it's that the stress of that and just figuring out what I really want to do with my life is it's stressful, but it's one of those things you just kind of got to do. Like, what other options do we have? So.
You are a
But yeah,
black.
just
Yes, sir.
I just want to put that out there for the men. Like it's okay, and know that if you're feeling a certain way and you know you're not normal, just know that you need to talk to somebody, or know that just as long as you acknowledge it, just start there, because a lot of people don't do that enough. So
that's so good. That is so good. Thank you. Thank you. I hope that when you all watch on the replay or you're watching now, that you hear what he's saying. It is important to feel. It is important to have feelings and be in that moment. Don't hold it in, because when you suppress stuff in, it makes you sick. Okay. On both sides, male and female. There's a lot of women that like to be strong too. But we get your cry out. Go in the shower and cry. Go for a walk and cry. Whatever you got to do, get it out. Lay in the bed and cry. But don't stay there, because we got things to do. All right. So thank you so much for sharing that, Jay. Sometimes people can stay in depression, you know, and that's not healthy. It's okay to have these feelings, but don't stay there, you know. And like he said, acknowledge it. Be honest in all moments. Be honest. I'm not feeling well. I was feeling a little shaky, you know, a little leapy. Be honest. So thank you so much for sharing that, because it's important. I want to go into now on who you are. If you guys are just tuning in, I am interviewing my prom date. This is like crazy. I don't know why I even thought of doing this. Let me just share this with everybody. About 2-3 months ago, I think it was, I reached out to you because I was going to put out this album, High School Sessions EP. 4 songs that I put out for my senior project. And I'm thinking about old school, 17 years old. And I went to Garfield High School, right? So I'm like, okay, let me see little things I can do with this show. And I thought about Jay. I'm like, it would be crazy if we got a chance to interview and talk about that night. Because it was crazy. I'm gonna just give you one little thing right now. I'm talking a lot right now, but that night I could not talk at all. So Jay was my voice and I was being mean to him. So I'm gonna just tell you right now, he was my voice. I could literally not talk. I couldn't order my food, nothing. It was crazy. So before we jump into that part, can you tell us who you are, your background, what schools you went to, and whatever else you'd like to share?
So we talked about this before, as far as like where we were gonna start in. So I'll give you what kind of led me to go to Garfield, or the trajectory. And what Mattia did not say is we also went to middle school together, but in different cliques or whatever.
So, I saw you though. I saw you.
Yeah. And he was on the basketball team. He was on the basketball team, so I knew you anyway. So let's see. Okay. So being in elementary school, I actually had to go to Beacon Hill Elementary. Yeah. And at this point in time, well, to be quite frank, around that time, my dad had passed, and it was just a lot going on. It was a lot going on, and me being the kid, some of the kids that I would be around, I would kind of confide in them. And being so young, you don't know that you ain't supposed to divulge all of that type of information. So I would kind of tell them what was going on with me, and then as soon as we fall out, that's the first thing out of their mouth. So boom, we fight. You know what I mean?
Yes, I hate that.
And that would happen a lot, especially, not really knowing how to deal with that. And then the person that's supposed to teach you how to deal with that is the one that's gone. Yeah. So I was like having to, and okay, let me take it a step further. Literally the very, very moment that my mom told me that my dad had passed, in my mind, and I felt it, and I remember the feeling, I stopped. My childhood kind of ended right there, just a little bit. It kind of ended because my mom was crying, and I'd never seen her cry before. And so that kind of shook me, like, what's going on? And then
Yeah.
she told me, and as she was telling me, I could see it became a reality for her, and it just started pouring out. And so
Yeah.
I stopped crying. I hung the phone up for her, and I
Oh,
held her and telling her that it was everything was cool. And so
oh,
now that I'm
that.
looking back on it, like that's kind of when my for real childhood or my innocence ended right there.
Yeah.
And so that led into, damn near fighting every other week. And
Oh,
that's
so
also leading me into how I got to Hamilton. So being in elementary school and living in the
Hamilton
central district,
Heights.
central district, Seattle, but
Yes.
being at Beacon Hill, a lot of the black kids there were from the CD. And some of us played for CAYA at the time. Somebody played.
Yeah.
So there will always be rivalries and stuff like that. So we would always play basketball or football, whatever. So
Mhm.
playing basketball, for those that are from Seattle and know, black folks in Seattle, I'm sure you're familiar with the Jimerson family.
Yes.
So me and AJ Jimerson were playing basketball. I think it was a group basketball game.
Oh,
And I was playing defense on him. It was intense. And then I think he like checked me or like bumped me a little bit, and I bumped into a kid that wasn't even in the game, and he had glasses on, and he like fell into wood chips. His glasses came off, and he was crying. And I don't know whether he thought that I did it on purpose, but AJ immediately started fighting me. So we fight. So we
oh
fight.
my God. What?
He just immediately started fighting me. And we talked about it. We kind of talked about it later. Actually, the administrators made us talk about it later. But it boils
That's
down to this. It boils down to this. What I didn't know was he was going through some trauma at the same time. Like they brought us into the office, and they were asking each one of us, like, why did you fight each other? And neither one of us knew. And then our counselor, I believe her name was Miss Brown. Yeah, Miss Brown. I believe Leah Brown's mother. And
oh,
she sat us down and was like, do either one of you really know what either one of you going through right now? And we had no idea. And his family was going through something. I believe his mom might have been going through something. I didn't know the details of it, but he knew the details of my dad. And she told us at the same time, and we just kind of looked at each other like, damn, we tripping, man. I'm sorry.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and we never had an in-depth conversation after that, but it was an understanding that all of this came from a place of pain. And so the next time I saw him was like maybe 6-7 months later, because he graduated from elementary or whatever. And I saw him in the neighborhood because we lived on the same street and didn't know that we lived on the same street. So
Wow.
I see him walking down 25th and Dearborn. I see him walking down, and as soon as I see him, I'm like, oh, all right, we're about to fight. I'm like, I just prepared my mind
You
for
was
it. Like, damn.
ready. You was ready.
No, I was not ready. I was not ready. I was damn.
You was
I guess
trying to
we gotta
get
do it.
ready.
And
Excuse me.
real cool and cordial. So I was like, oh, I guess we're not beefing. But but I said all that to say this. Because of that fight, my mom didn't want me to go to Washington. Of course, the natural progression was a lot of
Right.
the kids in the neighborhood to go to Washington, and she was like, "You're not."
Me
I
too.
had at least 10 fights in elementary school, at least. So she sent me to Hamilton, and
Hamilton
at
High.
first, at first I was upset because like it was a complete culture shock being in
Me
Wallingford, and
too. Right.
I don't even know if I'd even seen the University District until I went to Hamilton for real.
Right.
So so and I'm glad that happened because it taught us how to maneuver and
Mhm.
talk to people in many settings. And somebody that I want to bring up, I'm not sure if you remember him, but do you remember Mr. Levine or Mr. Levine?
Mr. Levine, I do. Yes, I do.
Um, so
What
he
did he
was
used to
our
teach? What did he used to teach?
he taught a bunch of stuff, but he was our rocketry or science teacher, right? And he just kind of broke everything down, and we classed it first, and then once he understood like who I was and I understood who he was, we just became cool. He was like my favorite teacher. But I'm not sure if you remember this, but the year 2000 was when the World Trade Organization riot or whatever happened in downtown Seattle. Do you
That's
remember that?
true. That's true. Yes.
So while all of that was going on, Mr. Levine was telling me about the first time it happened when he was younger, and he was telling us like the progression of it, like how it's going to happen,
Yeah.
what you need to look out for. If you're going to go down there, here's where you need to be. I don't want you down there, but if you're going to go, this is what you need to do.
I
You know what I
remember
mean?
that. Yes.
And I always remembered that. And he just kind of showed us a different way to think, especially being kids from the neighborhood. Like we didn't know what we was looking at. We just in the middle of it, you know?
Right.
So I was always very, very, very thankful for that relationship. And if he ever sees this, thank you, Mr. Levine.
Mr. Levine. Because can I just say something really quick about Hamilton? I don't know if this was your experience, but for mine, it was rare to have a teacher there that had your back, especially being a Black student. I seen a lot of campaigns to keep some of my friends from graduating. You know, there was a lot of people that got held back. So to have a teacher there that just really wanted to help us, we commend you, Mr. Levine. Thank you. Thank you. Go ahead. Keep going.
You know, for some of those other teachers, I really think, okay, for where we see that we are right now in society, this being 20 years ago, you know for a fact that the lens that they were looking through, it was impossible for them to see our perspective then. You know what I mean? So I'm not even mad at them. Now, they should have been mature enough to know that they couldn't see through that lens, but I'm not mad at you. We already know what it is. But most actually, I think every teacher that I've ever bumped heads with, by the time that I graduated from that level or that grade, I was always cool with them. So I mean, I'm thankful for that. Now, I'm not sure if you kind of knew the natural progression of being at Hamilton, but most of the people that went to Hamilton actually wanted to go to Roosevelt. So that was kind of the trajectory. And I knew that, shoot, my mom didn't let me go to Washington. Why the hell would she let me go to Garfield? So it just
right. I was going to Garfield.
So I'm not sure if you remember the form, but it was like a little paper form that you told your top 3 schools that you wanted to go to.
Yes, I remember.
So I put Roosevelt #1, I put Garfield #2, and I don't even remember what I put 3. It might have been Franklin or something like that.
Yeah, I think I chose Franklin too. Yeah.
I didn't get into none of them. So because of the waiting list, I'm not sure what was going on, but the waiting list was crazy that year. And where they were sending me to Cleveland. And then my mom was like, no. And this is before Bill Gates put all that money over there. So Cleveland was Cleveland.
Right. It was, it was sorry, it was awful. My sister went to Cleveland. Sorry, T, it was awful.
Back then, it's leaps and bounds better now. And I'm sure Bill Gates wasn't the only thing that had to do with that. But
speak. Wow.
I actually had to go to Summit by Nathan Hale for a freshman year. Now, it was only supposed to be for the first semester. It was only supposed to be for the first semester, but by that time I was like, man, I might as well finish out the year here. I know I'm gonna go to Garfield, so I mean, I'm not really missing anything. And at this point, I pretty much already was kicking it with people from Garfield because I knew Nikisha and all of her friends, so I was already over there.
Right, and you guys were still good friends, aren't you?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's beautiful. It's beautiful.
I think I talked to her yesterday. Yeah.
Really? Oh, I love that.
Yep. And so that's got me to Garfield.
Well, you guys had a crew though. There was a crew of y'all. Megan.
It was like, so the main, okay, so the 3 amigos.
Yes, come on, because I know you had a crew. Come on.
So the three tightest amigos would probably be Keisha, me, and Megan.
Yes.
And then Megan moved away halfway through sophomore year, so we just brought in a whole bunch of other people. But the main crew, I would say Megan, Keisha, Sophie. Why am I having brain farts right now?
Okay. Look, sis, Jordan. We know that you enjoy Cleveland. We love you. Thank you. Jordan, and who else?
Jordan, who else is over there? Why am I having a brain fart?
It's cool.
People. Like, matter of fact, when I find the picture, I'll send you the picture because I got the whole crew in.
Yes. I can see everybody, but for some reason I can't remember names either. And you guys were in a different class than me too, so.
I just found a picture on Alder right in front of the door closest to 23rd, where it's me, Keisha, both the twins, Megan's older sister, and like somebody else.
Daniela, yeah.
And
Me and her went
I
now.
think,
Megan's older sister. Me and her went in the same class.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's my girl. I love them. They're so sweet. They've always been kind. I get to go to church with them. I haven't been to church with them in a while, but I love them so much. I'm glad you're still in touch with them. That's some good people.
for sure, for sure. Matter of fact, her mom had a conference out here when I was still in the restaurant industry, and her and her friend came in, and I treated them to lunch and everything, and it was a good time.
Wait a minute. What do you do in the restaurant industry? Do you mind if I ask you that?
Um,
Are you a
it's been a
chef or
couple.
something? What do you do?
No, no, it's been a couple different things. Okay, so initially, a friend of mine, I didn't know how deep his connection into the restaurant industry was. So, well, before I got into the industry, I was killing myself working 2 or 3 jobs, and I just wasn't making the money that I wanted to make. And my boy Greg in Cincinnati here, and we also went. He was one of my college roommates. So
Yeah.
he was like, "Look, he's like, I got a job for you, I got an apartment waiting on you, and I know the employer, like he's gonna treat you right. I already know what he's gonna pay you."
Ooh, good
So,
friend.
so he said it. He said it out of he. Matter of fact, let me rewind. Let me rewind. He just said it on a whim. He didn't give me all of those details, right?
Mhm.
And so with us being huge boxing fans, it was I want to say like Adrian Broner or like Mayweather was fighting. So I drove from Atlanta to Cincinnati, and
Wow.
we saw the fight or whatever, and we went to lunch at the restaurant, and I didn't know that that's where it was. We're eating lunch or whatever. He introduces me to the head chef, who's also the owner,
Oh
and
my God.
within 2 minutes of this conversation, he's like, "Man, I like your vibe. You guys are a lot alike." He's like, "I don't know if you know this, but Greg is leaving and going to a better job. Like, would you like his position?" And
Oh,
I was like, "I don't know what his position is. I don't live in this city, but how long you gonna give me if I do say yes?" And so I believe he gave me
mm.
75 days, 75 days. And so at this point, I had just gone through a breakup, and nothing else was holding me in Atlanta. So I was like, you know what? Let me get this new setting, new job. And it just ended up that Cincinnati was had a lower price of living. So this is what it is.
Wow.
But yeah, so he ended up having the apartment and the job waiting for me. And so initially I was,
Wait, can I just tell you something? Can I just say that don't happen to everybody? That don't
oh
happen
no,
like that for everybody.
no,
So
no, no.
God was
No,
working things out. That's beautiful.
yeah,
That's
this
awesome.
my road dog. This my road dog. Like, they say some of your best friends are in college, sometimes high school, but in college, this is one of those. Like,
College. Yeah.
I put it to you like this: he and his lady leave their daughter with me regularly. So
Aww. Family. That's
yeah,
family.
yeah, we family at this point, you know.
Yeah, that's family. Real quick, what college did you go to?
Went to Clark Atlanta University.
Can I just say something? After I graduated, I had an application and I never sent it off. I had my essay and I didn't know. I didn't do my essay and I never sent it off. Never
Mhm.
sent it off. But I did get into TSU. I did get into TSU, but things happen. But
Mhm.
how was your stay at Clark Atlanta?
My day at Clark Atlanta was eye opening and awesome. But before we go to that, since you're talking about the acceptance letters, that experience was crazy because first of all, I went on a black college tour.
You
And
did
so
that?
yeah, I went on the black
Oh,
college tour. So we flew into DC. We went to Morgan State and then hit damn near or almost. Let me correct myself. Almost every black school from DC to Atlanta.
mm-hmm.
And then we spent the weekend in Atlanta, and it just so happened that this was like homecoming week for Clark, Spelman, and Morehouse.
Oh, so you got the oh, yes.
Now, mind you, while we were in DC, it was raining like crazy when we were at Howard, so we didn't get the full experience. So by the
Uh,
time we got to Atlanta, we were bubbling like, okay, we was in a nice hotel and everything. And it just so happened that this was during homecoming. So at this time, this is 03, 04. So
yeah.
so the Yin Yang twins are performing on campus.
The whisper
Bubba
song, the whisper song.
Bubba Sparks is performing. Lil Jon is performing, and Remy Ma, when she first
Oh, are
before
you
she,
serious?
before she got locked up. And here's the cool part about it. Here's the cool part about it.
That's
She jumped.
epic.
somebody in the crew of who we were yelled something to her while she was like right before she ended. She got off stage with the mic in hand, walked over to us, and was having a full conversation, and then like dabbed us up before she went back on stage and had the whole. So I'm like, oh yeah, we going here. I'm going here.
I love that. Oh my God, what an experience. That's epic. So was it like that the whole time?
I wouldn't say the whole time, but definitely throughout freshman year, because this time is when music was changing. This is when it was shifting to Atlanta. So this is like the snap music at the very, very beginning. So you had, and then the change in R&B too. So this is when Chris Brown was like 16, 17 when he first came out.
It's true. It's true.
So they came on a tour. So he visited the campus. Neo when he first came out, he was on campus. Trey Songz, he was on campus. Now, hold on. I got to tell the Trey Songz story because it's legendary. It's legendary.
Tell it.
It's two parts. It's two parts. I'm not going to tell one because it's incriminating for somebody I know, and I'm going to leave that alone. But so mind you, being a young man, especially with a little bit of money in your pocket, you feel a certain way. You think you got a little swag to yourself, right? But our campus police was not feeling none of his swag at all. So there's a brick walkway called the Promenade that connects Clark Atlanta to Spelman and Morehouse, right? Okay. So in the middle of it, there's actually a road that goes through it, and there's a crosswalk there. So Trey Songz pulls his car into that crosswalk sideways, gets out and is like interacting with people and dancing. Campus security tells him to move his car, and he like waves it off. He got body slammed in front of everybody.
Oh no! Oh no! Are you serious?
Yep. And then still performed that night in our auditorium.
Oh my God!
Yeah, it was just a crazy time.
Body hurt and everything. Body hurt.
Also, let me tell this one too, and this is a good thing in comedy. So this is when Kevin Hart first came out too.
Okay.
Like very, very first came out. Because you got to think, with comedians on his level doing a college show, this is when he first started popping. So they had, I think it was Lil Duval, a lot of them, like, they just came through a comedy show. And I remember that he told a joke before he told it on one of his comedy specials, and it just kind of lit the campus up. I think it was like, Pashoom, Pashoom, everybody gonna die. And it was in the special, but he said it on campus. So we were talking about it months before that.
That's crazy.
It was just an all-around cultural experience to be there at that point in time, with the music changing, comedy changing, everything. So
there's so many questions. I feel like we're jumping, but while we're here, let's go here. I want to know. I'm interested. How do you think that shaped you as the man that you are today? Your experience at Clark Atlanta University.
For me, growing up, I like, my parents were very pro-Black and very informative about my history and who I am, especially our own family history. But I'll say this: being in a place like Seattle, if it's not constantly in your face and you're constantly reminded of it, you kind of get sucked into whatever that ethos is. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so, and even going from what you find attractive to what you think is okay, what's acceptable, jokes and all of that, it shifts. And then going to just dropping myself in ultimate Blackness. You know what I mean? I needed that, especially because I forgot what it was like to see us in the highest positions. You know what I mean? So like one of my very first eye-opening experiences was going to Lenox Mall, because we had never heard of it, but we heard people rapping about it. So we went to Lenox. And so we park, and there's a Bentley coupe on the left side of us. We was like, man, this probably like a CEO, blase. It was like a 30-year-old dude came out, looked extra regular, and was the exact same. You know, and then so we noticed that, went on about our business, and maybe an hour later we were leaving, and there was a homeless man that was about the same age and looked exactly like us. So it's like from the bottom of the bottom to the top, everybody looked like you. Now, wow. With that said, I don't want to lose this. I want to give this to you. For Juneteenth, I went back down to Atlanta because I have a lot of family down there, mainly to check on my uncle, since he's getting up there in age. I just wanted to check on him, make sure he's doing okay. Yeah. And just to see some family. We were masked up. They were open, but I wasn't, putting that out there. But I'll give you a little story that
Your man.
reminded me of being in
Okay.
Cincinnati. It is a friendly city, but it's not like Atlanta, especially being black. Like the way it feels is it's the weight of society isn't there anymore. And I forgot what that felt like. I really forgot what it felt
Wow.
like. Being not having your head on the swivel actually makes you a more kind person because that guard isn't up for you to
Yeah.
do something kind. And I'll give you the great example. I was at Walmart just for something random. I came out and I saw an elderly lady putting groceries into her car, and there was a huge package of water. Now I would have helped her out anyway, but in my mind I was like, I cannot walk past this lady on a day like today because it was Juneteenth.
Yeah.
And so I was helping her, and it's like I gotta help you. She was thankful, and we
God
were having a
bless you.
conversation. We were talking about that day, and she was talking about what it meant to her and how she never thought that she would see this, and
Wow.
and the progression that has happened in her lifetime. And as we finishing up, I was like, you know what, I don't need anything. I just wanted to do something for you today. And
Aw.
she's like, I understand that, but I want to do something for you too. And she reached into her purse and she grabbed $5 and was handing it to me. And I was like, I don't want to take it. But she's like, just listen to me. And she's like, you didn't have to do what you did today, but I want you to know what it meant. And you don't have to give this $5 to somebody specifically, but all I ask is that you pay it forward. And she gave me the biggest hug. She gave me a big hug, and we just kind of went in separate ways. And I was thinking to myself, would that have happened in Cincinnati? Would that have happened in Seattle just randomly like that? You know what I
No,
mean?
it
It
wouldn't
was,
have.
like I felt at home, and I hadn't felt like that.
Yeah.
So, it felt good. It really did.
I love that. I love that. You are such a good man. You have a great heart. One of the things I'll say about Seattle is that even black people don't speak to each other. I don't know if that's your experience, but some women might have got upset with you, like, what are you doing? Why are you like foreign for us to be kind to one another? So I'm glad that you found a place, a home. Everybody should have a place that feels like home.
Where do you think that
Ah,
comes from?
what'd you say?
Where do you think
That mindset?
dis- that disposition? Yeah, I have my own theory. What is yours?
I would love to know what you think, but the way that I was raised, because my dad was from Arkansas, my mom was from Long Beach, old school. We speak to everybody. Yes, ma'am. No, sir. I'm also pretty like country, the way I grew up. So, I don't know. I want to know what you think, because I wasn't raised like that. What do you think?
So me being born in the South and being raised in the West, I had that Southern thing as well. But I will tell you this, and this was also very different for girls as it was for boys. The gang culture of the West Coast alters the way that you talk to people.
Yes,
Like
sir.
when I first moved to Seattle, and this like the city was still bubbling at this time. It hadn't calmed down by the time we got to middle school.
It's
So
true.
I had seen confrontations start over somebody saying what's up, and they just said it in the wrong pitch, and the other person was like, well, what's up?
Yo,
What's popping there? And it just start right there. You know
it's
what I mean?
every time.
That right there. It's not that we don't want to talk. We just don't want no smoke right now. We don't know what's about to happen. And that's really what it is. And being a young boy or young man, I always recognize that I would try, but if that person don't give me eye contact, I'm not even gonna go out of my way because it's gonna be kind of shocking to them. And so that's where I think it came from. But I could be
But
wrong.
I agree. I agree. Now that you've given me that perspective, I agree. How can we change that? What can we do? I know that you don't live here anymore, but Seattle needs help. I think all the black community needs help, period.
Yeah.
We shoot each other all the time. But there's been a lot of shootings here recently. I don't know if you've heard. What can
Yeah.
we do to help a generation to come back to being together?
Frankly, I'm gonna be hard on myself. People like me got to come home. We got to come home. And I've marched and stood for things in Atlanta. I've been at the protests here and observed things, but I got to do that for my own community. I got to go home. Like some of these kids that are going through this are the children of people that we went to school with. So if
It's
they're gonna
true.
listen, to anybody, hopefully it's somebody like us or somebody within that age gap that they can still connect to. And I see the work that, okay, I was telling you about my business partner Greg that's out here. I see the work that he's doing in his community. I see the work when you know, somebody in his family, he steers them into this and connects them with this person and be like, okay, just hold this type of accountability, and then we're gonna connect you over here. Then we're gonna move you. So I just see all of those moves being made. But what I am happy about is that I would say almost all the people that we went to school with that have businesses, everybody that we grew up with is supporting them. You know what I mean? From QTRS to the restaurants that are opening. I'm not sure if you know that Jordan opened up a restaurant out on the Oregon coast. People are
I didn't
supporting
know
him.
that. Oh.
It's a beautiful thing to see us supporting each other, man.
Yeah, because I'm getting ready to go into a series, not to cut you off, I apologize, but I'm getting ready to go into a series of promoting Black businesses. So that's good to know. I would love to be able to say that. So if you can give me that information later, I would love that. Thank you.
I want to say it's Surf to Soul. Surf to Soul.
Yeah. Okay. That's awesome. We do have to support one another. And you said come home. So are you calling for people to come home? We need to go home and build our own community. Is it time now or next year?
Yeah,
or
to be honest, I'm in the process of trying to get back west. Now, coming back to Seattle specifically is going to be a little bit difficult for me because my mom did move. My mom moved away from the city, so my mom is not there anymore. But I do have, you know, a lot of cousins and aunts and uncles there, so there'll always be a reason for me to be there. And I would love to be around family because we came up tight knit. And what I don't like is this generation below us is not having anywhere near the same experiences we had. Like my first cousins, we grew up like siblings. Like we didn't really even know that we were cousins. Like, you know, it's very different, and I want to be a part of what helps it kind of go back to that. You know.
Awesome. I commend you for even having the thought and the mind to do that, and I believe you can get it done. You and everybody else in this season that has been appointed for such a time as this. Thank you for sharing who you are. We got to go back just a little bit to middle school and then getting to high school. You told us how you got to Garfield. I think you did. Did you tell us the transition into that? Okay, so you came in your 10th grade year, right?
Yep.
Okay, so 10th grade year, I was a senior.
Yep.
So this is crazy. Okay, you guys, now that I'm thinking about it, this is crazy, Jay, because that means that was your first year at Garfield.
Yeah.
Makes sense. That makes sense that when I look back, I can see you. Okay.
The biggest reason that it didn't seem fun is because we already knew each other's face. So we kind of knew each other. We just never were in the same cliques.
It's true. I used to hang around some heathens. They know what's up. I love everybody. And I was a loner. In high school, I was very much a loner because I just didn't fit in anywhere. I went to church all the time. And for prom was my first school dance. Okay. In middle school, I went to every dance because it was during school time. But in high school, that was my first school dance. So I was the ultimate church girl. When y'all hear that song, Church Girl, like seriously, Jesus all the way. You ain't going to know nothing. And for me to go to a game, I had to join the pep band and play the cymbal just for me to go to the football games. So let's talk about high school a little bit. Did you play football? Did you play basketball? I know you played football. You were on the team, weren't you?
Yeah, played football. I was also in Sigma Beta, the youth auxiliary or junior fraternity, however you want to categorize it.
Okay. I love that. What position did you play in football?
Depends on the year, but I was a defensive tackle and a offensive guard, depending on the year, because I was smaller some years, bigger some years. But yeah, mainly lineman, a little bit of linebacker in red zone, but very little. So
I love that. I don't really know much about football. You know, I know not a lot, but I know a little bit about basketball. I never understood the game of football. I never understood it, but I love to watch it and I love to go. I love to see you guys do your thing, especially when somebody used to get cracked. It was just like, woo! When we played Franklin, those games were epic.
Oh,
Did
yeah.
you did you play
Every time.
all 3 years? Did you play all 3 years that you were at Garfield?
I believe so. I believe so. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. What about electives? What did you do as far as electives? I know you were in the choir.
I was
If you
in,
don't mind me saying.
I was in the choir. I did home ec at one point in time because auto shop wasn't available. um,
I didn't get
that
to
was
take home ec.
And that the funny thing was that was kind of the introduction into the culinary world because I actually excelled at it like a lot to the
Look
point
at
where
that.
I can't remember my teacher's name, but she put my name in to Le Cordon Bleu and applied for me. I didn't even know she did it. And so Le Cordon Bleu started sending me pamphlets and stuff because she was like, this might be the direction you're gonna go. So
I think I heard about that. I think I heard about that. Wow. All those
yeah.
seeds being planted, those breadcrumbs. That's awesome.
Yeah. I knew the
Okay.
direction that I wanted to go. I just knew that I could use it here and there, you know.
That's awesome. I love it. I love it. So singing. I remember you having these low notes, but you were always really quiet in choir. But what, look at my sister. She said, "Can you sing, Jay? Listen. I don't know if he's gonna sing today, but I remember these low notes, and you sang for us. And you, before we got started, you reminded me of the song that you sang. Do you still sing today?
Not anywhere near as often. I mean, I'll say 90% of the time is probably in the shower. So and so at the most, at the
When
least,
you
I should.
when you sang that day, I'll never forget it. I was completely blown away. I was shocked. I cannot believe that you could sing like that and wouldn't share your gift like that. Like you can really sing.
I think what it was is one, I wasn't comfortable because I came from being totally obscure to all the way to the front row. Like, so you got to think about this. I came from coming from an alternative school to not only being a football player, but having a clique and then going to prom with a senior, then going and all of these other things. Like I went from nobody to somebody real
Are
quick.
you serious? Because that was your first year.
Yeah, real quick.
But I wasn't nobody in high school. That's crazy. You know what? Can I just say something? I don't even have my yearbooks anymore. I put everything in storage and life happened and I lost my stuff. So I can only go on conversations. I can't remember anything visually. I'm so sad. But that's crazy, Jay. So you went to prom with a senior. How
Let
was
me see. Let me see if the yearbook is within arm's reach. Give me like 10 seconds.
Yes. Oh my God, you guys, he's gonna try to find the yearbook. This is epic. If you're just tuning in, you're going to watch this on the replay. I thank you so much. This is the Mattia Show, an exclusive interview, High School Sessions Part 2. If you haven't got that album yet, I need you to go on Apple Music. I need you to go on iTunes. I need you to go on Apple Music. You can stream it. Go on Spotify, anywhere, and type it in. Mattia Oliver, MITIA, High School Sessions. It came out on June the 18th. Throwback Thursday exclusive from the vault. We're having a conversation with my prom date, Mr. Jay Harris. Hey, Anita. Let me shout out these comments. Hey, Teresa, thank you so much for watching. Lady A, hey, girl, the real Lady A. Thank you so much for tuning in. You know you have our full support, sis, our full support. Thank you. Okay, so go ahead, Jay.
So if I had time, I would go to the real book, but it's probably somewhere deep off in the tub somewhere. But I do have a friend of mine's Franklin yearbook.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Who has the keys? So that's
Who
one of
has the
those.
keys?
And that's your year too.
Oh my God, 2003. Oh, 3.
And then this is my Clark Atlanta yearbook.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Piecing together. What did it say? Piecing together
Our legacy.
Wow, that's crazy.
Oh, with that said, one thing that Clark did for me that I couldn't have done without some real independent research is there was so much information that we weren't told in history class. Of course, we know that now. But I thought that I was learning, you know what I mean, with my mom and my dad being educators. Like I thought that I just could connect the dots. And there was so much I had no idea because we didn't touch European history at all. At all.
Wow, it's true.
Yeah, it was all pretty much history of the diaspora. You know what I mean? So Black people on different parts of the planet, and
I
we
love
went
it.
very, very in depth. And it just so happened that my history professor, I believe, was from Nigeria, and he was
Wow. I know he
he was
broke it down.
yeah, he was on us hard. Like I remember all of my African teachers more than anybody else for real. Or
I
my
know they
African
broke
professor.
it down.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah.
She
My
said it's so
favorite
much.
professor was, and this was in, I want to say cell biology, was Dr. Ananoba, Dr. Ananoba. So, so dude, he had a super deep voice, like kind of like Dikembe Mutombo, but
Yeah.
he treated us like his kids for real. Like if you were rushing and he could tell you just came from your bedroom to class and you got it, he'd be like, why you do this to me? Why you come to this class? Don't do that.
African
Don't do
dad. I love it.
But yeah, I'll never forget him, man. He was definitely a father figure that all of us needed for real.
Yeah, he took it personal. I love it. Dads be taking it personal.
Why
I
you
love
do this
it. Oh, I love that. Wow. Thank you for sharing that. So let's get into prom night. You ready?
to me? Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let me tell my side of this. So I was a senior. I thought that I was gonna go to prom with two different people. But it didn't work out that way. The reason why I thought that way is because we were always together. Okay, we were always together. One of them I was like this. And when he said he was going with somebody else, I was like, oh shoot, so I don't have any other options. So I was with my friend Jalen. It's weird how it all came together. I was with my friend Jalen and I was worried, like I always am, but I'm doing better now. I'm doing so much better. I know how to trust and just take it one day at a time. I'm always in the future. You got to stay in the moment. I've learned that. But I was worried and I was just telling Jalen, I don't remember what kind of car she had, but it was one of those cars that you got to put the seats down and get in the back. And what would you call that? Like a hatchback or something? I don't know.
It was a two-door, a coupe.
Like a Subaru something. Yeah, a Subaru coupe or something.
I
Jalen is so
remember,
cool.
I want to say that it was like sky blue. I think that's the only thing I can remember about it.
Yeah. Wow, you remember all of that? I can't see that right now. Okay, but
And
I
then
know.
where you were in the back seat during the whole debacle, right? Okay, yeah,
Yes.
that's why it's more vivid to me because I can see everything real clear, real
And
clear.
we were on our way to McDonald's.
Yeah.
And so I can't remember how the conversation went, but I was like, I don't have a prom date. And so I guess she kept kind of hitting at me like, look who's here. And I'm like, what? And so I don't know how it happened, Jay. I can't remember, but I think maybe I asked you. I was like, what are you doing? Or I can't remember how it went.
To be honest, I
I can't
want to say
remember.
that it was in the choir room, and I don't even think it was you. I think it was Jalen that asked.
Because she was like, Mattia, you're not looking at who's in front of you.
Yeah, I think it might have been her that said something initially. Probably.
Oh,
Yeah.
Jalen, I love you. Thank you, sis. You know I love you. I just reached out to her. That's crazy. Okay, so Jalen hooked this up. So when you were down to do it, I was like, what? So I'm done telling that part. How were you feeling as a sophomore, coming into this new school, about me? How did you feel about going to prom with me?
For me, I didn't really know what to expect because, like, coming up, you always hear that prom is gonna be like this super big day, and everybody's telling you how you're about to feel, and nobody ever feels the way that somebody tells them they're gonna feel. So,
Right.
so for me, and the good thing about going to Garfield is we had some other formal dances, so we could kind of baby step our way into that mindset. And so by the time it came up, it was not like a big thing to me. You know what I mean? And I don't think neither one of us put any pressure on the situation. You know what I mean? We didn't
Right.
label it anything. We was just like, look, we about to have a good time. Like, we about to eat some food. I don't know what else is gonna happen after that. If there's like a party or something, we might hit it. But
We go to
whatever.
that. Yeah.
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 So
It was crazy.
and the guiding force of that was probably Jalen, because she was just like pumping positivity into it. Like, this is what we gonna do. This is where we about to go.
Yes, she had a game plan. She sure did. It was crazy. It was crazy. And I think we had like a week or maybe a week and a half. I'm always last minute. I've always been last minute. But God always, they say God, he may not come when you want him, but he's always on time. God is always on time for me.
I don't know where to get my food, to be honest with you. I have no idea. I have no idea.
I pulled out one of my outfits from the church banquet. Now, I have been to a church banquet before, but I had never, all of my 4 years, I never went to a school dance. Never. Yes. So I didn't know what to expect. I'm like, what do you do here? This ain't church.
Yeah. Our dances were legendary, and to be perfectly honest with you, our purple and white dances and our tolos were way more popping than prom. Way more popping.
Like, because I thought prom was boring. Like, I'm like, this is what you got. I mean, I had a great time with you, but I'm like, ain't nobody acting up. Like, I just thought you guys was mellow. I was expecting more. Mm-hmm. I don't know. But you said, I've heard about the dances, because, Joban was my good friend, and he went to all the dances with his crazy self. And he would come back and tell me what went down. But I'm not going to tell nobody's business.
I went to every dance. I went to every dance all the way back to 6th grade at Hamilton. That just kind of became my thing. I rarely missed it.
I used to go to every dance at Hamilton. I went to every dance. That was good times.
Even at Garfield, there was a football game and there was a dance afterwards. I went to both. Like, it just is what it is.
I love that. So let's keep going into this day, this moment. So we had about a week and a half. I found something in the closet. You don't remember where you got your suit. We come together. It's like everything started working out. I can't find my pictures either. It's crazy. I found a picture that I posted on Instagram years ago, and I was able to put that on the flyer.
I think Keisha I don't know how Keisha has all of the photos from every memorable moment in my life, like more than I do. But if I just like text her, she'll probably come up with something.
I would love to see those pictures because they were epic. You look so good. Look, I'm not trying to start nothing, but you look good then. You look good now. You look great. Okay, I'm not gonna get into it. You look fine. You look really good. You always do. And but anyway, that night I think we wore black. And
yeah.
I had got my nails done. It was the first time I had got my nails done because it wasn't something that we did. It was just not something that we did in my house. So it was a memorable moment for me. I think we got a limo. Who got the limo? It was crazy how everything lined up because we weren't planning on a limo, but we had.
Did we eat at Palomino's?
We did.
Yeah. I just remember because I had never heard of it, and then it was like this big glass building, and we walking up this escalator. I'm like, where are we going?
Yes.
I remember dinner. I just know that it was really nice. I just remember going in and out because the entrance of it was just so epic, especially with us being where we were, So.
Right, it was, and I think I ordered a Caesar salad. I was trying to be cute, you guys. But when we go back to this, I could literally not talk that night. So Jay, was that a lot for you that I couldn't speak that night? Because I think I was being mean and extra. I was so insecure about the fact that I could not speak.
I think you will be pleasantly surprised that wasn't something that I even remember at all.
Really? Because I was quiet. You couldn't hear me, so.
That's not why. It's because us getting stopped overshadowed everything. Like,
it really did.
I honestly, every memory of that night blends with another prom or another dance because that was just the highlight of everything. Because the intensity of the moment went up and then it came down fast. You know what I mean?
It really did. It really did. So let's go there. Prom was good. You know, Jay was showing me some moves, some things I didn't know, and I learned a lot that
Oh,
night.
before you go to that, I was really, really, really into dancing at this point in time. So, and Seattle is different. Like, and I had to get used to this too. Not everywhere in the United States are women used to the man dancing back. They're used to the guy just kind of standing there and just letting the woman do whatever she's gonna do.
I
Like,
love that.
where we from, the guy actually does majority of the movement, and you just kind of doing combos off of each other. You just kind of grooving. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So that's different. That's different. So so if you had never been to a dance, I know that that was super different. It was for real.
But I enjoyed it. I loved it. I learned a lot. I learned a lot. Thank you. I dance now. I mean, I'm not trying to brag, but I had gigs then, but I had never, it was all church to church music. So
Right.
I'll share that with everybody later or with you later. My life is very private, what I do outside of church. And I'm just a different girl. I'm the same person, but I can get down. That's all I'm trying to say. I can get down. I'm older now, so things are different. So let's talk about that when we got pulled over. So we get out the prom, we're going, and I think we were getting on Columbia Way. Yeah, we were getting on Columbia Way. So we got out the limo, we got in somebody else's car. Because we weren't in Jalen's car. Jalen's mom's car, I think.
Yeah. We was in Jalen's mom's car, and that's
It
why
was
it was blue. So that's why it was blue. And I think we were on I-5. I think we might have been going south for some reason.
We
But yeah.
were coming on a Columbia Way. So if you guys don't see how you're coming in, you're coming down, and you're getting onto the freeway. We're entering the freeway, and she swerved. Okay, I think we were in the back. We were in the back, and it just, and we knew we were about to get pulled over. I think the sirens came just like that. Was it that quick? My sister said she can dance, honey. Thank you, sis. I appreciate that. But I think the sirens came right away. I was terrified.
I wasn't terrified. The one thing that was a consolation prize in my mind, or a consolation, is one, I'm not driving. Two, the person who is driving is the most non-threatening little white girl. So I was like, okay, we're gonna be okay, but I don't know how long this is gonna take.
Right. So do you remember when the officer, when he came up to the windows, he actually didn't even speak to Jalen. He spoke to her date, who was a black man, light-skinned black man. And I think he spoke to you. He wanted
definitely.
to see both of you, the men's ID and where we were going. He was talking to you and like really questioning you all, but he never spoke to the women. Jalen was driving. It's crazy. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm. I remember that very specifically. And that wasn't the last time that happened either.
Black man in America. Wow. So, there's a lot going on in our climate right now. And you spoke about how you have to prepare to even leave out of your house. Would you like to share in this moment?
Yeah.
Just share whatever you feel right now.
So with me being a person that is kind of, I'll just give it a well-rounded thought. With me being really into boxing and into the depths of that, the psychological side of that is switching your brain from flight to fight and knowing what that feels like in the moment. So, and I always tell people, boxing tells you who you are immediately, because when you get punched in the face, whatever your true self is shows right there. And so in that process, you learn how to deal with that, how you think about what your next encounter with that situation is going to be. And so with that being my prep and having martial arts background, I always had to think about these things before I got there, because we were taught not to fight. So if I'm taught not to fight, then I'm gonna have to know what to say not to fight. Yes. And so that was always in my head, being a responsible martial artist. But going into being a young black man, it was more so knowing what to do not to become enraged, because trigger words were very common then, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And matter of fact, I can remember putting somebody in their face in Yeah, in on the playground at Hamilton because he called me the N word.
Wow.
That happened twice when I was in Hamilton. Twice.
Yeah, they
Oh,
used to do that a lot.
hold on. Let me rewind because this is epic right here.
Come on, come on.
The first time that I ever got called the N word and I was conscious of it was it was either sixth or seventh grade. I just come out of Miss, I want to say Miss Doctor or Miss. It was either Mr. or Mrs. Doctor's classroom, and they had us watching Rosewood for the first time. So so I saw Rosewood probably before I saw Roots. So this was the first traumatic type movie that I had ever seen. And so
Oh,
all of the black students, I mean, Telesis, Eric, whole bunch of people, we were
oh,
all
tell
going
us
through it.
this.
We were going through it. Like we were going through it and not really knowing how to deal with that. And when the lights came on, it was super quiet. It was super quiet. And then so it was like three of us, and we just so happened to all be black, and we asked to go to the bathroom, and we were going to the bathroom. And in the hallway, we were coming to the front because you know how the hallway kind of looped around.
Yeah.
And as we were doing that, I can't remember the kid's name, but he said something crazy to us. And we were like, man, whatever. And he called us the N-word right then. Right then. And in my mind, I'm like, we shouldn't have done him bad like this, but it was the perfect storm. You just so happened to call me an N-word the first time I ever heard it in a malicious fashion. And
Yeah.
I just saw something so traumatic that how would I not react to this? You know what I mean? So
Right.
he got touched up, and we didn't even get in trouble for it. We didn't get in trouble for it at all.
Can I tell you something? I think I remember this because you mentioned Eric, right? Eric and Telesis. I think I remember hearing about that fight. I think I remember hearing about that. Because Eric, my baby, I wonder how he's doing. I went to elementary school with Eric.
He's doing good. We have a lot of connections. One of my ex-girlfriends, her sister is like best friends with him, and you probably know who that is. Are you familiar with the
You don't
McDowell
have
family?
to say her name. I know who she is.
Yeah, you know. But
we used to play basketball
yes,
together. Yes, sir. I know.
Yeah. So I've always, checked in,
Shout
like,
out
man,
the
how's
McDowell family.
Yeah, I've always, asked how he was doing because we was always cool, no matter what orientation or whatever. You know what I mean? And there's times,
absolutely.
and there was times in middle school where I actually had to defend him and go to bat for him. You know what I mean?
Wow, Jay.
Even with administration, like there was a time, I'm not gonna say no names because this was extra foul the way she did it. Eric was dating a girl. And it was a rumor that came out that he forced her to perform a act with her mouth on him, right? So I'm not saying that this ain't, that it's just absolutely impossible. But if you know who Eric is, and you know how he acts around women, you know that that's unlikely.
True.
And then I remember at this time, like he was in the principal's office, nobody was defending him, and just something told me like I gotta say something, bro, because I don't know if anybody else know, but I know. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I can't remember the administrator's name, but I believe that they were the vice principal. And I had come to that office before and saw a picture on their desk of them and their partner. And so I knew that lifestyle. So I came into the office and was like, look, I'm not gonna put nobody's business out in the street, but no, look at him and tell me what you see. I know you see what I see, man. You know he didn't do this. And from that, it was just kind of like a butterfly effect. Like people started coming out of the woodwork. It was like, yeah, man, he didn't do that, and I saw this and da 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 da. And I'm not sure if it's the same thing for him, but that's the thing that sticks out to me while we're cool. You know what I mean? We always been cool. We always been cool.
Bless you for doing that. So do you have a thing for the underdog? It seems like you're always, I think it's just that you're a good guy. You really have a good heart. Where did you get that from? They say that a mother makes her son.
Well, I think it comes from a couple of different places. Like my parents are freedom fighters. So, I mean, that's just what it is. Like my mom was marching and rubbing shoulders with Angela Davis. You know what I mean?
Wow.
My father was an organizer and a game counselor. And then my brother my older brother, was part of the neo Black Panther movement in LA, doing the whole Geronimo Pratt rallies and things like that. So I was at these rallies. I'm like
Are
3
you
or 4 years old.
serious, Jay?
So I was at all of this stuff, 3, 4 years old, on the front lines with black fist up and everything.
So when you
So
posted that picture, that's where you were?
that was me. That matter of fact, let me give you some context. The porch that we were standing on was the house that Huey P. Newton became a Black Panther in.
Stop.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's epic. Oh my
Yeah.
God. Whoa, what a history, what a legacy. So do you feel any pressure to uphold that legacy, be a part of that, or do you have a different vision?
I don't feel a pressure to push that on people, but I want to let people know the actual history. Um, like or society likes to highlight the automatic weapons and shotguns on, the Congress steps or whatever. But they don't talk about the food programs, the literary programs, the educational programs that they were about, and feeding
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
That was the most important thing, feeding and protecting your community. And so that has always been something that's been at the forefront of my mind. Not something that I just thought it was natural, because that was my first reality. So I wouldn't say that I've fought for the underdog, but I've never been somebody to sit back when I see injustice. And that's gotten me into a lot of trouble. But
I know it. I believe it.
yeah.
I believe it.
But morally, I feel okay about those decisions that I made, but it hasn't been easy making those decisions.
Wow, you have really good character. I commend you, and I'm sure that the viewers commend you, because it's rare in these days and times to have a man, especially in our generation, that has this type of mindset. I don't know if you have a lot of friends that think like you, but but it's
The one
rare.
that
I
I do,
haven't, huh?
the one that I do, I hold close, but is rare, and I don't mean to sound like this. It's just that it was kind of a perfect storm. It's rare that you're going to have somebody my age with this mindset, because both of my parents were older, so I'm getting generations back game. You know what I mean? So
Me
that's
too.
why
Yeah.
it's not only that Southern hospitality that we were talking about earlier. It's really a generation back of how to conduct yourself, and how to talk to people and how to treat people. And I've always, actually, the biggest thing is me listening to my elders and those little gems. And the way I treat people comes from one statement. My grandmother, this is the very first thing I can remember her telling me, is she said, whatever, and I'm gonna preface this with, my grandmother was not the sweetest lady. She wasn't. She wasn't. Loved her to death, but she wasn't always sweet. She spoke very frank and straight to the point,
I
and
understand.
not everybody like that. But what she told me, and always stood out because it was kind of different from her initial talks with people, is always be sweet to people. And every time I saw her,
I
she
love
would say
that.
that to me. And every time I left her, she would say that to me. And so that I think that that's probably at my core of how I deal with people.
Oh, I love that, Jay. Wow. You know, a lot of people, there's a meme that people say, my mom raised me, but I did my own thing. A lot of people don't follow the teaching that they learned in their houses, and the nuggets. Really sitting at the feet of our elders. A lot of people don't want to take the time to do that. So I
Right.
commend you for doing that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Let's go into your passion, and then I'm going to come back into prom night, because I want to thank you for one thing. But let's go into your passion. You were speaking about boxing. What does boxing mean to you?
Um, I'd always kind of been a fan from afar. Like my family, like I can remember being super
Yes.
little and seeing Mike
Just one
Tyson fight.
moment. God
Yeah.
bless your grandma. Yes. God bless his grandmother. Yes, I agree. Go ahead.
Rest in peace, Granny, Miss Minnie.
Oh,
Um, um, so as far as boxing goes,
yeah.
I've always kind of been a fan from afar, but I didn't really know what I was looking at. And how can I put it? I liked the aggression of it. I didn't know the next level. And so once I got to college, I was around other people that were watching the same things that I was watching, and I would get other people's perspectives. And so we combine our perspectives into
Uh-huh.
seeing what we. And it just so happened being on Clark's campus, there were guys that were actually boxing. So we would get that insight. And
Wow.
so, and then we started going, we pretty much formed like a boxing clique where we would all go to one person's house for a big fight, and then we'd go to the next person's house for the next big fight. So
Wow.
all through college, like, we saw every major fight. Like I've seen every Floyd Mayweather fight live or pay-per-view, however you want to say it.
Yeah. Pay-per-view.
Yeah,
I
I can
used to watch
remember.
them with my dad. Me and my dad used to watch boxing together.
I remember where I was in all of these, and most of those memories are with my business partner, Greg, that I was telling you about. Because even when we were apart, if let's say somebody gets knocked out, that's the first person I'm calling. Like, bro, oh man, you know, that's how we do.
I love it. So who's your favorite boxer?
It depends. It depends. I would say the most efficient boxer and the person that mastered everything was Floyd, because he has the highest punch and not getting hit ratio.
How did I know
Like,
you were gonna say that? Wait, how did I know you were gonna say Floyd Mayweather?
because I'm a practical, I'm a practical guy. I don't get caught up in the style and what I may think looks good. Is it effective? And that's how and so
Jay.
with that being said, I'll say this. I've never seen somebody that was as quick as him, and being quick and being fast is two different things. So I'm gonna say that being as quick as him, as fast as him, and thinks at the rate of speed. People don't, unless you've been in a fight, you don't really understand how time changes.
Yes.
Time changes. In 3 minutes feel like 10 minutes, especially if you're not in shape. Exhaustion makes cowards out of everybody. And you do things that you normally wouldn't do when you're tired. Right. And so you're getting to train that. And what I like about boxing is it breaks everything down to that reptilian brain type thing. And you're training yourself at the most basic level. And then you can go into the technical stuff. But if you can't make yourself calm down in a stressful situation, you might as well stop boxing, because you're not going to be successful at it.
It's true.
So it's really training yourself to be in the middle of a storm and be okay with that. Moving towards somebody while they're punching at you. You got to kind of turn some things off and able to do that.
Wow. Yeah. So are you looking to be a boxer, or what are you going to do in boxing?
I think originally I just got fascinated with it, and that was one of the ways that I started losing weight. I'm not sure if you remember, but in high school I was much heavier than I am right now. So,
me too. Thank God for the weight loss. You look good.
Right. Yeah, we needed it for sure. Like I didn't realize I wasn't supposed to be that big. I had no idea. but
excuse me. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm so sorry.
So it came from just learning more about myself, and then in Atlanta, I got my certification for personal training, and I started using it as a general boxing thing.
Hey, are you serious?
Yeah, so I started doing that, and then majority of my clientele was women. Not only with it being, Atlanta, the female to male ratio, but at this time the big thing was, girls getting big legs and big butts. So I geared my program specifically to total body sculpturing, but on button legs, and I was good just off of that.
Oh my God, are you serious? How many years did you do that?
I did that for about 4 years, and then I moved up here. I had a couple clients, and I've kind of stopped. But I want to get back into it, though. If I have the time with the direction of the podcast and things that we're about to talk about.
Okay, so you're getting ready to go into a podcast. But really quick, what is that? How does that form your mindset? Did you use that discipline in boxing to form the way that you discipline yourself and everything else?
I would say so, especially because you can't, how can I say this? You learn in boxing that you're not only training your body, you're actually training your mind to have the capacity to move your body the way that you want it to. You're training your neural response. You're training your brain to know how much energy to send to a specific muscle at the specific time that it needs to be there. And so and a lot of people, especially getting in shape in any certain type of way, you'll think something and your body will automatically do it. And that is you training your neural response. And as a
Yes.
boxer, you take that to the highest level because you're reacting to somebody trying to punch you in the face. And so you're at high alert all the time. You know what I mean? And it's
Yes.
just it's fun. It's fun to see your body and your brain get to that next level of syncness. Because I've been in the sparring session where I thought like I should probably throw a jab right here. And I just my body just threw it. And I threw a jab to somebody's stomach and made him fall because it was the perfect
Perfect timing. Yeah.
perfect timing of them being off balance. And I didn't even think. It's like my brain saw it and just did it. So that's the fascinating part of it. So now
Wow.
that part of it made me want to be a trainer because I was like, okay, if I'm excited about this and I know what I'm doing, if these changes are happening to somebody and they don't know what's happening, they're going to be even more excited about it, especially somebody that doesn't come from a sports background. And
Right.
so my very first client and my best client, I'll say that my very first client, she had a huge transition. I got with her in a time that was very stressful for her. I'm not going to say her name, but we still
Right.
good people's. She was going through a divorce at this time, and things were very rough for her. And having kids that were like teenage, almost grown, she was just kind of going through the transition. And I wanted to help her out, and we started going to training sessions, and I started to see the rise in confidence in her. Her posture started to change. The
Yeah.
food that she was eating, I didn't even have to tell her to, was changing. Then her arms started to change. Then she started to kind of sculpt down. Then she started dating younger men, and I'm like, okay, I see you. All right.
Oh, shoot. Ain't that something about that? Ooh.
And so it was a pleasure to see that transition, to see her kind of come out of that funk into her realizing the extent of what she could be, and that it was all up to her, and it was all here.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
power is inside. But that shows how great of a trainer you are. Everybody can't pull that out of people. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Wow. Wow. Wow.
I really rely on my biology background because a lot of trainers don't have that in-depth background. They might have been athletes, but they weren't biology majors. So when I think about the body, or when I think about an injury, I think about it in 3D. So I see it. So if I see your body in a certain position, I automatically know, okay, your knee being in front of your toes means there's too much pressure on your ACL. So I need you to move your body like this, and I tell them why, so it sticks in their brain rather than me just telling you to do something you don't know why. So it
Jay, are
helps.
you serious? You're a biology major? I did not know that. Wait, my mom is saying, Mom is watching. I'm impressed. Now, Jay, there's some questions coming here. I have questions. Lady A is saying, don't answer John's questions. Do you mind answering some questions right now?
Come on with it.
Come on, bring them. We'll be taking a couple questions here. And before we get these questions coming in, I want to say this to you all. On prom night, I was so mean to Jay. I think I apologized to you too many times. So I'm going to try not to be on apology tour today. I would not let him open the door for me. I don't know why. I think I was mad at myself and insecure about myself and didn't feel that I deserved it. So to the women out there, let me say something to you. It's not about, you see how much of a gentleman he is. It's just who he is. Oh my God, these questions are coming crazy. No, I don't know if I'm gonna post that one. But I wasn't secure. She said, don't do it, Mitzi. I know, Lady A, I'm nervous that this is my family trying to ask questions. Y'all get out of here. We're already over an hour. But let me just say this to the women. Let the men take care of you. Now that I'm older, I'm more open to that. I wasn't open at all. At all. So I apologize for not being open and willing. When he opened up the door for me, I was like, oh my God, he's opening the door. And then I went the other way. Who does that? Who does that? Who does
And
that?
I'll say this. That wasn't the only time that happened. And I think when it hasn't been done for you, it seems like something extra, and then it becomes a power struggle. So you saying no means that you now have the power. And I think that's kind of where it comes from.
I didn't want to take the power from you. That was not my intention. I think that for me during that time, if y'all don't get out of here, okay, I'm gonna post the questions in a minute. Y'all give me a moment. I'm gonna post these questions. I just think at that time I was so insecure, and like you said, I wasn't used to that. So I apologize again. I think a year later I came back with my friend Naisha, and I saw you in the hallway. You were a junior at that time, and I was just like, it's weird that as soon as I walk in the building, he's right here. And I'm gonna post this question since y'all being nosy. Was prom night holy or hot? First of all, it's always hot and it's always holy, but we were still pure. Nothing happened like that. It was just a good fun time. And I think that the reason why I didn't open up the door or there was a lot going on that night with me. I think I was scared that if I opened up, something could happen. Not that it was on your mind, but that it was on my mind. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. Y'all church folks that's watching, I am a human being. I am a woman. Let me tell you something. At the end of the day, and you see how fine he is. I'm not trying to go here, Jay. He was fine back then. It was on my mind. It was, but it didn't happen. To answer the question, it did not happen. Did I want it to happen? I'll talk to him about that later. Was prom night holy or hot? The answer is it was holy. Okay. Jesus, y'all nosy. Y'all getting nosy. He's a gentleman and a half. He is. Okay. So let me go back up here. Are you ready, Jay? Do you want to say something?
Go ahead.
My sister said, what's his phone number? I'll ask him myself. Y'all better get out of here. Okay. So she said, are you married? Girlfriend, children of your own. Answer what you feel comfortable with.
So I'm not married. Well, let me put my fingers in there. I'm not married.
Okay.
I don't currently have a girlfriend. Okay. I am talking to someone seriously though, and I have 0 kids.
You don't have any kids yet?
Nope. Everybody looks at me. 33.
Okay, so we're 2 years apart. That's right, 2 years apart. Okay.
Now, that's not to say that I don't want them, because I really do, and I know I'm gonna be a great dad. It hasn't been in the cards yet. That's all.
It's coming. It's coming. So great. Okay, let's go to the next question here. Tell your brother to be quiet. I know over there. So I already asked all the questions. Thank y'all. I'm done. No more questions. No more questions. I'm not taking any more questions.
You could do one more if you want to. Just throw one out there.
Okay, we'll take one more good question. So post it in the comments. Come on, something good. Something good. So let's talk a little bit more. I'm going to let you take the floor about your upcoming business that you're working on. Can you share that with us?
Absolutely. So in this conversation, my friend, my colleague, my former collegiate roommate has come up a lot. This is my brother from another mother, my boy for real. And this is my boy, Greg Webster. We're both super passionate about boxing, and we recognized with each other years ago. This is actually probably the second or third business plan that we've come up with together. And we kind of always had that. We were the two different sides of the blade. You know what I mean? I've always been a little bit more artistic than him. So I come from that side of it. And he's been more so the blue collar, straightforward corporate type person. And so our perspectives have always done well together. I mean, we've given each other relationship advice every day. So we're taking the chemistry and the type of deep conversations that we have, and we're taking that into the boxing world, because it's rare that you have people in our age group that look like we do, that talk about it in depth. So not only the boxing, the boxers themselves, but we're going into the history of it. We're talking about some of the racism behind it, because it is one of the more racist sports in the world. We're talking about the promotional side of it, everything that makes a moment in boxing what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know? And so we kind of just want to expose that, make it fun, and talk about some worldly events too. And so we want to kind of put those things out there. We've already recorded 3 separate episodes. We haven't uploaded, but we do have our page and our name. So our official name as of yesterday is Menazance, MEN, like combining men with Renaissance, Menazance. So So we've already completed our YouTube page. We're going to upload some videos probably tomorrow or the next day, and then we're looking to jump on some podcast platforms once we kind of get a little bit of fun. So hopefully, some guys see this and stay patient with us and support a Black business. So
Absolutely. Now let me put this up. Can you spell that for us?
it's MAISSANCE. So combining the word moon and Renaissance.
Okay, thank you. So I'm gonna post this up here. This is your YouTube page. So can they do you have the link?
I don't right now, but I'll send that to you, and hopefully we'll get another conversation, because we definitely got probably another hour and a half worth of stuff to talk about. But yeah.
Okay, good. He'll come back. Oh, great. You guys, he's gonna come back. You didn't even give me a chance to ask that. Yes, so I'm excited for your business. Congratulations. I got a chance to look at, I was stalking your Instagram page and seeing some history in boxing. That's why I was interested to see who your favorite boxer was, because you went way back to some boxers I had never heard of.
But hold on, since I didn't even fully get there. If we're talking, I'm gonna go kind of divisional or like heavier or light. Now, if we're going like heavyweights, then I go all the way back to the black and whites, all the way back. So a lot of people know who Jack Johnson was, but they've heard of his name, but they don't really know who he was. They don't know that he was an inventor.
Right.
He was a brilliant man. And that was not his only invention. He was very well read. He was very well spoken, but you very rarely heard his voice, and they do that for a reason. But a brilliant, brilliant man. This was literally like Muhammad Ali before Muhammad Ali, and was was the very first heavyweight to incorporate live defense, where he was actually trying not to get hit. The very first heavyweight.
Yeah. Okay.
Before I go back to that, but my favorite, I have two. One of them is Jersey Joe Walcott. Jersey Joe. Now this is a guy that was very, very slick, very springy. He was probably the most skilled heavyweight there's ever been, and I was just so impressed watching him fight. I believe he fought Joe Louis. He also fought Rocky Marciano. So this is a Hall of Fame level. Now, if we're talking smaller body frames, I'm looking at Mayweather and Pernell Whitaker. Pernell Whitaker more so because he was left-handed. I'm left-handed. So the things that he naturally does in the ring is how I naturally move. So I try to watch him and try to get little bits of game off of that. And then Mayweather is he mastered it. He just mastered it, because every side of it. And people don't understand what he did for media. He completely changed boxing in a couple of different ways.
He did.
Number one, people think that Mayweather started boxing in 2005. Mayweather's professional career started in like 97. So a lot of people haven't even seen that stuff. Back then, he was knocking people out like Tyson. So that's number one. And he was super humble. When he would win a fight, he would come into the camera and look straight in the camera and thank God first, and talk about his grandmother and talk about his family. Sometimes he would even cry. And they never gave him the recognition. They never gave him the money. And they did not speak about him the way that they were supposed to speak about him, because they were pushing Oscar De La Hoya. Now, I'm not tripping on Oscar De La Hoya, but that just is what it is. And they purposely kept him down. So you know what he did? He took the blueprint from Muhammad Ali. He said, if they're not going to love me, I'm going to make them hate me, and they're going to pay for it anyway.
Well, he succeeded at that. He succeeded.
And I know this because I know people around him from my connections in the boxing world here. I know people in his camp right now. So it's like he's a very chill, calculated person. He's a very calculated person. He doesn't do anything. And so he knew this was going to come, and he knew he wasn't going to get loved by everybody. But he also knew that he was going to create generational wealth, and his grandchildren are going to be fine.
Yes.
So that's what I admire about it, is he knew he was a realist about his situation. He knew the way they looked at him, and he controlled the narrative. And now he can do things better if he wants to for the rest of his life, and improve his image if he so chooses. You know what I mean?
I
So
love that. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. If you're just tuning in, this is the Mattia Show. Great interview today with my prom date, Mr. Jay Harris. He is sharing with us his passion and his new business that he has. I don't want to mess up the name because I always mess up stuff, but Renaissance, is that right?
yes,
Minnesota. Okay. And this is really, I know that a lot of us girls, we probably watch boxing with our brothers or our dads or something. But the men, y'all got to tap in, okay? Make sure you go to YouTube and start looking at this. It's going to be really fun, okay? It's going to be really fun for you all to get together and just go over the history of boxing. And then you see his mindset, how he thinks, how he's applied this to his teaching and his training. Let me put this comment up because it goes right here. It's so refreshing to hear intelligent conversation coming from you today. Thank you kindly, and I truly appreciated hearing this interview. Me too. Me too. I love brilliant minds. I love brilliant minds, and you have one. Go ahead. I didn't want to cut you off. What were you gonna say?
in hearing it, I wanted to, and I'm not saying that she doesn't realize this, but I wanted to point this out to people that don't think about this aspect of it. Is there's a lot more of us that have the capacity to think like this, but I just happen to have parents that were educators. They constantly put black men in power positions around me on purpose, and I've always kind of been a dreamer, so that is kind of what steered me in that direction. But the biggest thing that, especially my mom, after my father passed, my mom, she, like, I gotta give her props every time I talk about it because she put in more effort than anybody I've ever seen when it came to putting me around the right people. Like, okay, I'll put it to you like this. You know how hard it is to find a specific black doctor in Seattle that has a great reputation and you can find information on them and go straight to that doctor? You know how hard that is, right?
Yes.
Imagine my whole pediatric career. I was a black pediatrician. I had a black foot doctor. I had a black dentist. I had a black orthodontist.
Are you
You know what I mean?
serious?
And all of this was
Whoa.
calculated. She did all of it. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
rare. If you guys don't know this, if you're watching this in a different city or a different state, that's rare. Seattle is not black like that.
Right.
Not at
I mean,
all.
we there. We just really spread out.
Jay, I remember that about Mayweather. He was so humble and misunderstood. Okay, yeah. I don't remember that about him, but I do know that I'll be trying to look at his history. The only thing I don't like about Mayweather is because I'm such a fan of boxing, but I don't want to say this now that you said what you said about him. If you don't know his history, then you'll feel like me. I love boxing. I love seeing somebody get knocked out. I don't want you just I want to see somebody get knocked out. I'm used to Mike Tyson and who was my other baby? Heavyweight. He was a big Lennox Lewis. I used to watch him with my dad, and his fights are just kind of boring to me. I love
Right.
Mayweather. I love everything that he's done, but I like more excitement. I'm sorry. I'm
You're
sorry.
fine. I'm gonna break that down for you. The biggest reason, and we talked about this before, the biggest reason why it's not entertaining to you is because you don't know what you're looking at just yet, and that's okay. That's okay.
No, I
What
understand the game, Jay. Let me say this. I understand the game.
the rules, yeah. But I'm talking about even with Tyson, people think Tyson was a power puncher, and not really. He was super technical, super technical, one of the best defensive heavyweights of all time,
Yes.
and had one of the best trainers, if not the best trainer in boxing history. So
Wow.
with that said, he wasn't just punching people and just knocking them out. He was using great skill, great skill, but made it look aggressive. Now, what Floyd Mayweather has done, combine the boxing skill of like a Sugar Ray Leonard
Yeah.
and then merged it with the elusiveness of the Pernell Whitaker, and then the money side of it and the persona of the Ali. And he literally mastered it. Like his advisors are the same advisors and the same promoters that Michael Jackson had. Like he knows what he's doing. He knows who he's
Yeah.
talking to. Like
Yeah.
the man owns damn near half of the MGM Grand hotel.
It's
He
true.
owns he partially owns part of Showtime Boxing. He owns part of CBS Boxing. Like, and this is just the stuff we know about. Like,
Right, right. I
I
commend them. You're right. You're right.
would take the hustle out of that. Now, that's one side of it. On this side of it, knowing what it takes to be that sharp, you got to understand what type of shape you got to be in to look the way that he does. And I think the people that see it from that aspect see that. And then for somebody that's had a brain injury before, somebody that's been knocked out, I know that trauma, and that trauma is not okay to be happening that constant. It's not.
Wow.
And so I can acknowledge it. And I've hurt somebody with my hands before. It's part of it. Like, we all have that in the back of our mind. Like, it's the duality of thinking with your reptilian brain and thinking with your conscious human brain. Like, I could really kill somebody doing this, you know?
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
like I'm not a professional boxer by any means, but I know that if I get into a scuffle with somebody that doesn't know what they're doing, I could very, very easily kill this person. Very easily. So,
Well, if you're like me, all the church girls like me, we get excited about stuff like that. That doesn't scare me. I like to feel protected. It's good to have men around you that will protect you. But that mindset, that discipline to know when and how to do it. Like you said, karate. Did you say you did karate or taekwondo?
I did karate, I did goju-ryu, I did a little bit of kickboxing, and I did capoeira. Me and my mom did capoeira together, actually.
What? Yeah. Oh, I love your mom. Wow, she introduced you to so many great things. Wow.
Awesome woman, for sure.
So y'all make sure that you check out this page and check out his business. He will, when he lets me know, I'll let you all know as well. Menaissance, okay? YouTube page. I thank you so much for tuning into the Mattia Show today for this great interview, high school sessions. It's almost about to be an hour and 40 minutes. Pretty long interview. So interviewing Mr. J. Harris. Thank you for coming through and sharing this throwback moment with me. Being a stand-up guy. I see behind you, you've got Mr. Jimi Hendrix. My brother is asking this last question. What do you both miss the most about Garfield?
Ooh, you want to go first or you want me to go?
I'll let you go first.
Okay. The thing I miss about Garfield is, I'm not sure if your generation or your year was like this, but 05 was a very, very, very different year. We came together in a way that I hadn't seen previous graduating classes. And my senior year was the first time that I had taken what are those classes? Or like college credit courses type classes. What do you call that?
Is it Running Start?
Something like that.
I can't remember. But, college prep, something.
What was I going to say? Because now I'm scatterbrained.
I don't know. You were talking about what you loved the most about Garfield and how 05 was a different year.
So 05 was different for a couple of different ways. AP classes. That's what it was.
Okay, AP. Okay.
So I think my junior year, I started taking AP classes for the first time. And that was the first time I realized how big the school was, because I'm going to class with people I've never seen ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so being in those classes, and a lot of other kids from our neighborhood would come in with me. So it would be like 4 or 5 kids from our neighborhood in a classroom full of white, Asian, and Indian kids that we've never seen before. And then we started to intermingle. We started to hang out. We started to go to each other's parties. And I didn't see that before. So we were going to mansion parties. We going down to Madison to like the gated communities and stuff. And I didn't see that before. Like, it wasn't that intermingling, you know?
It's true. It's true.
So that was the genesis of it. And then the thing that brought it all home is, I don't know if you remember this program, but it was called Cultural Relations. Do you remember that?
I think so. Yes.
So Cultural Relations, I'm not sure the system and how they picked everybody, but they picked a lot of different people from a lot of different cultural backgrounds, and they basically took to a camp for like a week.
Yeah, I remember.
And yeah, so everybody was sharing their experiences and the trauma that happened to them. So it really opened our eyes to, not only you don't know the pain behind somebody's eyes, but everybody's going through something. And you kind of want to look through life with that lens and understand that when somebody's acting crazy, most times it probably comes from a place of misunderstanding, a place of pain. And that really, really brought us together. Like from the richest to the poor, like we saw each
Yeah.
other as this. And then like from prom to the way we partied after our games, the way that we communicated initially right after graduating, like that was who we were. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the thing that I missed the most. Like it felt like we truly had an international and a unified class for sure.
That is beautiful. You know, I agree with you. I just miss the family atmosphere. We were truly family at Garfield, truly family. I know that all three, we were, my class, we were kind of trying to get the administration to understand what was going on with racism, how they were being racist, how the community was being racist, how people were getting pulled over that were only black, but the white kids could ride around with tons of kids in their car, but only the black kids were getting pulled over. And we were trying to get them to understand what was going on. So we would do different things to kind of divide us. So do you remember that one assembly where we had all the black kids on one side and all the white kids was on another side, and they put the dividers up? I don't know if you were there. Were you there? It was my junior year.
I,
No, you weren't there.
Oh no, I was there. I wasn't there. Nope, I wasn't.
You weren't there. So we did that my junior year. And then so for my senior year, there was still this tension. So I'm glad to hear, because Garfield was very diverse, very diverse.
Super clicked up at one point, because I remember like all it was a hallway where majority East African or Somali and Ethiopian brothers and sisters would click up. And then you would have the Asians in this corner on this floor. Then you had my crew on the like by the other side, and then it was just everybody was separated. Yeah.
It's true. So to hear that you all came together is beautiful. I love that. So I agree with you. I miss the family environment. There were some really great people that we got a chance to meet and hang out with. High school was rough for me, so I don't want to go back to high school. But my time at Garfield was beautiful. If I could have stayed at Garfield all day, it would have been nice. So I thank you for going back and doing this throwback with me today. I'm just grateful for your time. So you said you're going to come back. Jay, I'm sorry. I got to put you on the spot. I need a favor.
You're going to try to ask me to sing.
I am. Can you please sing? Please. Would you rather sing or talk about how good God has been in your life and the importance of having God in your life?
Probably more so the importance. But it also comes back to what I was telling you about that interaction that I had with that older lady at Walmart, and that interaction. It kind of brought me back to I shouldn't have to be in Atlanta for that to be my first thought. Number one, I think that a lot of theology and family kind of go hand in hand, and that feeling of not only being home but that oneness has a lot to do with the family that you surround yourself with. And I remember how that felt. And so that's one of the bigger reasons why I want to come home is I want to feel what I once felt. And a lot of times being out here, I have great friends, but it's not like having the people that came up in diapers with you. You know what I mean? It's just not the plan.
It's true.
So,
it's true.
And on top of that, I got cousins that I didn't even see grow up. And so I don't want to experience that anymore.
Right. So. Well, that's awesome. I can't get him to sing, you all. I can't get him to, huh?
I said God has definitely opened my eyes to a lot, especially in this period of time. A big one is not only was that good experience with that lady, but that entire day was a great day in Atlanta, being Juneteenth. My mom actually flew down from DC visiting one of my other aunts, and that was the first time I see my mom in about a year.
Wow.
And I was just telling her like, well, let me rewind. Being the age that we are, it's really hard when you haven't seen your parent in a while, because at this age, the next time that you see them, they visibly aged, and you know that you're. and you're missing time, and I know I'm missing time. And so this time I consciously spent more time with her. I mean, we were doing things we normally wouldn't do. Like I sat down and had a drink with my mom for the first time. Like,
Wow.
I mean, we talked about stuff that I hid from her as a kid. Like we just talked about my progression, and it was the first time that she openly said that she trusted the way that she raised me. And I think that it was now this comes because of the climate in which we're in. You got to remember, just maybe 48 hours before I touched down in Atlanta, I can't remember the young man's name, but he was killed in front of the Wendy's. That was in Atlanta. And that was So we're talking about that, and just the hurt, the anger, and all of that. And she heard it. She heard it in my voice.
Yeah.
And I know that as a mother, that is terrifying for her, because she knows the son that she raised. She knows that I'm a freedom fighter, and if I see something, I'm gonna either say something or do something. And I know that scares the hell out of me. I know it does. But with that said, I think she finally was like, you know what? I've raised you the right way. I've showed you every way to protest and to fight the right way, because mama taught me how to fight too. So she was like, look, I shouldn't even worry. If it's gonna happen, it was probably meant to happen, but you're gonna make the right decision.
Jesus.
And so it was just crazy seeing her let go of that fear in that moment.
Wow.
It was just like, look, you're gonna do what you're gonna do. Just be safe. And okay, I'll be frank with you. Being a Black man in America right now, for me, I feel I would be irresponsible if I wasn't a gun owner. And right now I am. And so that's something that I have to think about before I leave the house. That's the other side of that coin that I was telling you about. I have to know how far I'm gonna go with this thing. I have to know when I'm gonna fold or when I'm gonna fight. I have to know before it happens, and I can't be scared in the moment when I make that decision. You know, and that is the constant stress. That is the constant feeling of anxiety that we feel every day. Like whenever I leave the house without my pistol, I feel stupid, because I see what's happening. People disappearing, people getting hung, like just dumb situations. And so that is a necessary anxiety, but I'm also realizing the amount of stress and just the way it's affecting me. You know, I'm conscious of it. I'm conscious of it.
I can only imagine. As a Black woman, I've been instructing my friends to pray for Black men. We've been doing this for a while, but let's not pray P-R-E-Y on them anymore. Let's P-R-A-Y. Let's really pray. Prayer changes things. It really does. And the reason why nothing is being changed is because we're not praying. We don't know what to pray for. We're praying amiss. And if you can do anything, pray for protection. Pray for protection. Pray for peace of mind. Pray for covering over our Black men, even the young men, because we look at Tamir Rice and we see how young he was. He died with a toy gun in his hand, 12 years old. So just a covering over all of our Black men. I thank you for sharing that, Jay. You are definitely in my prayers. You're definitely an asset to the community, always have been. I'm honored to know you. I thank you again for going to prom with me. You're a good stand-up guy. And let me say this to you, because I heard what you said. I never wanted to try to take your power. That was not my intention. And I never, and any other man out here, Mattia don't want to take your power. A lot of times there are women that are just insecure. And I think on both sides, we have to really work on healing ourselves. Nobody can make you happy. You've got to get your own happiness. And really work on yourself, because you don't want to be bleeding on people because you're not working on your internal work. I've done my work. I'm still doing my work. I pray everybody's doing their work, and I'm ready to move forward. Jay, thank you so much for this interview. Thank you, thank you, thank you. He didn't sing for us, but I was being passive aggressive. I should have just said sing.
I'll put it to you like this. Maybe next time with my mind wrapped around it, I'll actually have something selected. But next time we'll talk more business, how you got to this stage, what mediums you're utilizing for your platform to look like this, and just kind of help me along on my technological journey. So
I would be honored to do that. So if we're making boss moves, boss, I would love if you can give me some training tips because I need to go to another level.
okay.
All right, cool. Thank you guys so much. We gotta talk. Thank you so much for tuning in for this exclusive interview. I thank you all for staying this long. We're getting ready to get out of here. But before we go, I gotta take this time that if you have not accepted Jesus Christ as your personal savior, in this moment, it is so crucial to know who you are, to know who God is. Because if you don't have anybody else, I can be a witness and testify. When I didn't have my mom or my dad, all I had was God. And you're going to need somebody that you can vent to, that you can talk to. The scripture says in Hebrews, run boldly to the throne of grace that you may obtain mercy. What does that mean? Just pray. Just have a conversation, just how we were talking right here. And you'd be surprised on how the Holy Spirit will speak to you, will lead you and guide you. Proverbs 3:5 says, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not to your own understanding, but in all your ways acknowledge him and he'll direct your path. Do you need direction? Are you feeling like you don't have clarity? Seek God. James says, if any man would want wisdom, to ask of God. So just ask for wisdom. 3 simple words. Confess with your mouth, believe in your heart that God raised Jesus from the dead. Say, Jesus is Lord, and you are saved. If you've done that today, I'm rejoicing with you, and the angels in heaven are rejoicing. I clap up because you are now my brother or sister in Christ. Make sure you do that because we're living under grace right now, but there's going to be a time where we're going to be under God's wrath, and you don't want to be under God's wrath. So make sure that you've given your life to Christ. Thank you again for tuning into the Mattia Show. We're getting out of here. Thanks, Jay. Let me play my song so we can go. Where's that? It's Mattia. I don't think it's gonna do it. I'm gonna have to sing. There's always a problem at the end. Let me try it one more time. This is the Mattia Show. Hey, with your host, Mattia Oliver. Bringing you the best. Hey. Country. Thank you guys so much. God bless you. I am so tired. I would have sang it for you, but this is the Mattia Show. Saturday, July 11th, exclusive interview with Jay Harris. Make sure that you go to YouTube and look up the signs, all right? And get this boxing history. Thank you, sir. Bye. I'll be in touch with you. Thank you.
See you
later. All right, let's do the after show. Wasn't that incredible? I love the way he thinks. I love his mind. I'm grateful that the Lord allowed me to have this moment with him. Make sure you guys go to YouTube and figure out how to follow him. Menaissance. Look at this. MENAISSANCE. Once I get that link, I will post it to my page. I also post it to all of my social media so that we can support him in his business. Wasn't he incredible? I just have to say this. I know that he said he's talking to somebody, but Jay is still very fine. Still very fine. No disrespect to who he's talking to and what the Lord has for him. But I just want to let you know, Mattia said you're fine. Thank you, sir. Thank y'all for tuning in. God bless you. Have a good one. I'm out of here. Continue having a good Saturday. It's crazy. Bye. I'm a church girl. God bless.